I always believed life breaks you quietly, slowly, over months or years. But I was wrong. Sometimes your entire world collapses in one night. For me, that night was a cold November evening, one of those grim midweek days when the city feels washed out and apathetic. I was 33, a graphic designer, and thought I had everything under control. Stable relationship, steady job, a future that seemed predictable in a comforting way. Until it wasn't. My partner of 7 years ended things in the most clinical, emotionless way imaginable. A conversation that lasted 12 minutes, a suitcase by the door, and silence that felt like a scream. I walked out into the night because the apartment felt too loud with memories. I didn't know where I was going. I just walked until my legs felt numb. That's when I heard it. The soft crackle of a violin echoing between the buildings. A sound that didn't match the night at all. She stood under an old street lamp, coat half buttoned, hair pulled into a loose braid, violin resting against her shoulder. She wasn't performing for money. She wasn't performing for anyone. She was playing because she needed to. Her music didn't sound polished. It sounded honest. Fractured in places, trembling, then soaring again. For the first time that night, something in me stopped spiraling. When she finished, she noticed me. "You okay?" she asked. It wasn't flirtatious. It was human. I lied. "Yeah, just walking." She smiled a little, like she saw right through it. "My name's Elise," she said. "And you look like someone who needs to sit down for a minute." And somehow, I followed her to a small cafe across the street. Elise didn't interrogate me. She didn't push. She talked about music, about the way the city sounded at night, about nothing important and everything meaningful at the same time. I told her my name, Daniel, and that was enough for her. She listened the way people rarely do, with her whole attention. When I finally did tell her what happened, she didn't offer advice. She just said, "That kind of ending isn't really an ending. It's just the moment life forces you to turn the page you kept pretending wasn't there." I didn't know then how important she would become, or how much pain she was hiding behind her quiet eyes. Over the next weeks, seeing her became a ritual that neither of us acknowledged out loud. I'd stop by the cafe around 9 p.m., and she'd be there, either sketching music notes or staring out the window like she was trying to memorize the world. She played violin in the subway sometimes. Not for money, for courage. She told me music was the only thing she trusted not to leave. We grew closer without ever defining anything. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't labeled. But slowly, gently, she became the person I wanted to talk to every night. And I became the person she allowed to see her quiet hurts. One stormy evening, when the city felt soaked to its bones, she opened up. "My father. He used to be the one who taught me violin," she said softly. "When he got sick, I stopped playing. When he died, I couldn't even look at the instrument for years." "Then why now?" I asked. "Because I realized grief doesn't disappear. But you can choose what to do with it." Her hands were shaking. I covered them with mine. She didn't pull away. It was the first moment I realized I might be falling for her. One night, after closing hours, we walked through the city. The streets were wet and glowing with neon reflections. She was talking about a melody she couldn't get right, and I was pretending I understood music theory. And suddenly she stopped walking. "Daniel," she said, "I'm scared of letting anyone in again." "Me too," I said. "But maybe being scared means it matters." She looked at me, really looked, and that was the night we crossed whatever invisible line had been between us. She leaned in first. Her kiss tasted like winter air and unspoken hope. The next months were slow, peaceful, imperfect in the most beautiful way. She practiced violin in my apartment. I'd make breakfast while she laughed at my terrible insistence that instant coffee was basically the same thing. We went on small trips, explored abandoned bookstores, walked through parks, shared stories of childhood wounds and adult fears. It wasn't a whirlwind romance. It was warm, safe, steady, the kind of love you don't realize you're building until one day it feels like home. Then came the call that shook our balance. A music foundation in Vienna invited Elise to study, fully funded. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Except, it meant leaving for a year. Maybe two. She was terrified I'd ask her to stay. I was terrified she'd expect me to. We avoided the conversation until it nearly broke us. She burst into tears before she could even speak. "I'm scared you'll forget me," she whispered. I held her face between my hands. "Elise, I met you on the worst night of my life. You didn't fix me. You helped me remember I still had pieces worth holding on to. I'm not letting go of that. Not ever." Her voice cracked. "So I should go?" "Yes," I said. "Go become everything you're meant to be. And I'll be right here when you come back." Long distance was harder than either of us expected. Time zones, missed calls, lonely nights, moments of doubt, but also midnight video calls where she'd play a new piece for me. Packages in the mail with handwritten notes. Days when her voice alone made everything lighter. We didn't just survive the distance. We grew inside it. When she finally came back, it wasn't dramatic. No movie scene airport sprint. Just a quiet evening, a knock on my door, and Elise standing there with her violin case and tears in her eyes. "Daniel," she whispered, "I'm home." I pulled her into my arms, and the world clicked back into place. We moved in together soon after. She teaches music now, performs at small concerts, fills the apartment with melodies that feel like sunlight. I design covers for her sheet music. She still laughs at my instant coffee addiction. Our love isn't perfect, but it's real, steady, earned. And sometimes, on quiet nights, she plays the same melody she played the night I first saw her under the street lamp. Except now, it doesn't sound lonely. It sounds like a beginning that never ended.